Hello and welcome to Maximum Disc, a show where I celebrate physical media and talk about films that I own on Blu Ray and 4K Blu Ray. I'm James Adamson. I'm a co-host on the Double Reel Film Podcast. If you like this chat about physical media, please do check out Double Reel. It's a magazine-style podcast made by people who love films as much as you do. And we hope that if you tune into any episode, you'll come away with a bunch of great recommendations of things to watch instead of just doing whatever the algorithm tells you. That's the sales pitch for the podcast. Now we're talking about physical media. Why does it matter? Well, short version, if it matters, you need to own it because you can't guarantee the streamers will make it available. It might be on now, but it'll be taken off tomorrow. It probably won't be the director's cut or special edition or whatever version really makes the film work if that matters to you. And it certainly won't look and sound its best on a compressed internet file instead of on a lovely, well-crafted disc on a shelf for you to watch whenever you want. Hopefully you're already a convert to that idea. That's why you've sought this channel out. So we talk about physical media here. Basically, every episode I talk about one film that I own. I've bought it with my own money for me to kind of own and love. And I'll talk about it in the terms that you probably expect. Does it look or sound as good as it should? Is it a good transfer of the original? My personal experience with the film, why it matters to me. And then summing up, I'll kind of give you my view on whether it's an essential purchase, which will just be my opinion, but maybe it'll help you make up your own mind about whether to buy it if you haven't done already. Today we're talking about The Thing on 4K Blu Ray. The Thing came out in 1982, directed by John Carpenter, legend of horror and suspense, one of my favourite directors. He started me off on a love affair with genre cinema that started with Escape from New York in the early 80s, then went to like Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, the underrated later films Prince of Darkness and In the Mouth of Madness. He's, look around, you'll see some John Carpenter influences in everything you love. He's such a great craftsman. It was written by Bill Lancaster, son of Burt, adapting the 1930s novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. It's the second version of the story after the 1951 Howard Hawks production, The Thing from Another World. Lancaster and Carpenter were very much in partnership developing the project together. The cast is made up of Kurt Russell in the lead, and the rest of the characters are played by sort of character actors that are, stalwarts you'd recognise from many other things, especially Keith David, who is a real cult figure, especially after his John Carpenter work, but also Wilford Brimley, Richard Dysart, Richard Mazer, T.K. Carter and Donald Moffat. Cinematography is by Dean Cundy, who was Carpenter's partner in crime for his peak period from Halloween through to Big Trouble in Little China. He also worked with a number of other big directors, such as Robert Zemeckis on the Back to the Future trilogy, Ron Howard's Apollo 13, and with Spielberg on the first Jurassic Park film. The score is by the great Ennio Morricone, who needs no introduction, to the Sergio Leone films, etc. He delivers a great score here, not a typical Morricone score, and the working relationship between him and John Carpenter wasn't perfect. Leone delivered a score without specific cues for it to go in the film, knowing that Carpenter just wanted something electronic. And then Carpenter worked with his regular music collaborator, Alan Howarth, on some additional music used in the film for key moments that Morricone didn't really fit with anything he'd done. John Carpenter's legendary for his own music scores, so perhaps it was a case of too many cooks in the kitchen. Fortunately, despite all that, the end result is a classic score which works superbly in the film. Aside from the score, the other big part of the sound is the sound editing and sound effects, which plays a large part in the film. This was provided, as usual, by a very sizable team, the supervising sound editors of which were Colin Seymour and David Lewis Yendall. In terms of awards and nominations, there were very, very few nominations for this film because the film was very unloved, overlooked, critically reviled when it came out. The Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy and Horror had the good sense to nominate it for Best Film and Best Visual Effects, but didn't win. The German Jupiter Awards nominated Kurt Russell for Best Actor and the film for Best International Feature, and the Razzies nominated it for Worst Score, which shows what they know. Quick summary of what the film's about, in case you don't know. It's in Antarctica, an American scientific installation in a remote, snowy location far from the rest of civilization. Is there for the whole winter or there for however long. They're all bearded and icy and crusty and dealing with living an isolated life. We see a husky running towards that American installation, followed by some crazed Norwegians in a helicopter who are shooting at the dog, dropping bombs on it, got tins of kerosene. It all goes off. They start shooting at the dog and at people in the in the American installation. The helicopter blows up, killing one of the Norwegians. They shoot the other Norwegian before he kills anyone else. And then they take the Husky in, unaware that that Husky is in fact a shape-shifting creature from space which can assimilate and adopt the shape of anything that it comes into contact with. It proceeds to take over the American outpost and take out the cast one by one. Kurt Russell is the helicopter pilot who tries to coordinate a response against this a terrifying threat that could be around any corner where nobody can trust anybody. And it's just a very intense kind of horror movie experience. My background with the film goes all the way back to the beginning of the 80s with John Carpenter Escape from New York. I was the typical kind of video store kid who was always looking to rent the sort of most gory or scary or 15 rated or 18 if I was lucky film that I could get my hands on from the video shop. And then one day I got hold of Escape from New York and was instantly hooked by that brilliant, acerbic, dark, violent vision of the future. From there to just everything from John Carpenter, get my hands on, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China. His films just so perfectly fit my cinema taste, and I just sort of ticked them off as I came to them. The Fog, Christine, Halloween, obviously, mentioned Prince of Darkness. And I didn't get to The Thing for a while. I think I was aware that it had bad reviews. It was a remake of an old classic, which even then I wasn't keen on the idea of. And I had Prince of Darkness and They Live Under My Belt, so I kind of thought I knew John Carpenter horror. And got to university, which is, you start to seek out people like yourself. Got chatting with other people at films. John Carpenter came up, and a friend found out I hadn't seen The Thing and just said flat out, you have to watch it. Until you've seen The Thing, your John Carpenter experience is incomplete. So I did. I probably bought it on VHS, just on spec to have it. And wow, this intense, bleak, almost unbearably tense. It's very scary, but mostly it's just really tense, like you never know what's going to happen next. Very funny at times. I remember going to see this at a revival showing at the Prince Charles Cinema in London, and there's a moment after all hell's broken loose, people had their hands bitten off, their heads mashed, people, creatures turn into spider babies and scuttle across the room, and it cuts back to three men who've been tied to the sofa through the whole thing, just waiting to be let free. And the whole cinema burst out laughing just to relieve the incredible tension this film has. And that bleak, cold, dark ending, the all-time great open-ended John Carpenter conclusion. This film just blew me away, and it instantly became my favourite John Carpenter film and one of my favourite films of all time. I've rented it. I've bought it on VHS. I've bought it on DVD twice, one as part of a John Carpenter collection I bought and one to buy a copy for my daughter. I bought a digital streaming copy when I was misguidedly trying that out instead of physical media. And now I have the 4K Blu Ray, which is what we're talking about today. And when I was looking it up before buying it, there were people suggesting this film was reference quality, so I was very excited to buy it. So that brings us to the disc. It's the standard UK 4K edition. I'm sure there are box sets, steelbooks, collector's editions of The Thing out there. I've always said on this, I'm mostly about the film, so I just bought the standard 4K Blu-ray edition, which came out by Universal, who are responsible for the original film's release. There are other people releasing John Carpenter 4Ks like Studio Canal, but this is Universal. It's 2 discs, a 4K disc for the film, a Blu-ray disc for the just standard HD version of the film and the bonus features. It's not a huge package. There's not a whole range of kind of bonus features, and I think you'll have seen most of them on previous versions of the film if you've bought them. The highlight of it all is that Kurt Russell and John Carpenter doing the commentary for the film, which is just 2 older guys hanging out drinking. Great stuff. But apart from that, you've just got your making of documentary trailers and outtakes, but you get the film in 4K, which is what it's all about. So to talk about what the video is like, it's the original version. Sometimes you look on the back of John Carpenter films, sometimes you look on like TV releases, and the running times vary, but from all I can see, there isn't a director's cut or other version of this film. This is the original theatrical cut of the film. I'm not aware of there being another one. It was shot in Panavision, of course, because John Carpenter did everything in Panavision if he could, using 35mm Eastman film. The Panavision comes from the cameras and lenses that he used to put that film in. It's been treated with HDR10 for this 4K release to give it a full Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray version. That's not HDR10 Plus, and it's not Dolby Vision. Some people have talked, when you read up about a film before you invest in it, some people talked about a softness in the image, but I believe that's a feature of Panavision. Basically, to get a 70 millimeter huge widescreen effect without spending the kind of money that those big 70 millimeters productions cost, you use Panavision. That can make the image around the edge of your frame a little bit soft, but people who knew what they were doing, like John Carpenter, just make that feature of the film show. They work on the focus and the composition of the shot to work with that. So I didn't have any problem with softness of image. This is absolutely superb. Everyone who said that this is a reference quality image are absolutely right. It just looks amazing. The incredible sort of white, snowy landscapes, everything that happens at night, the contrast between black and the people that you're trying to see in the darkness is all absolutely excellent. You can see the breath off people's mouths. You can see like the particles of ice in their beards. You can see skin tones. Absolutely amazing, incredible. There's always a question about an older film, which is film's 40 years old now, about the visual effects, because there's no CGI here. The matte effects, I mean, occasionally you can see that that's a matte drawing, like when they're standing on a giant spaceship. But I mean, honestly, you can't have a complaint. It looks absolutely incredible. The scale of those big wide shots is incredible. And it was reviled at the time for how gory and kind of terrifyingly grungy it was. But that's seen as one of the film's greatest strengths now, quite rightly. And Rob Bottin, the young kind of visionary behind this and The Howling, a number of other great special effects films of the 80s, his gory visual effects, they look absolutely amazing. I mean, the fact is that obviously that's an animatronic kind of head splitting apart, but it doesn't change your belief in the story, one, because the story's told so well, and two, because it's an alien replicating those people. So when the head starts to look really strange and stretch out, it's still real. You still believe all of it. And the colours, the green and red of all the horrible kind of gory stuff happening, absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So the video is absolutely superb. I mean, this film is fucking nuts, man. And getting a good quality video image of this, just, you can't beat it. So the sound, funnily enough, when I started reading up on the sound, I did get some mixed reviews of it, and I don't know if this is about how the sound is reproduced on different speaker systems, depending on the number of speakers you have or anything like that. The original film was recorded, the sound, in Dolby Stereo on a 70mm 6-track print. It's very good, it's very sort of powerful sound when it needs to. The disc has had DTS-X put on it, which is obviously an attempt to compete with Dolby Atmos. Now, maybe this doesn't work perfectly with everybody's system, but some people have said they didn't like it. The sound was a bit grating and wasn't reproduced very well, and sometimes it came across as a little bit shallow. So I did listen to the sound for this, and also went back to the digital copy that I still have and the DVD that I still have. And I never bought this on Blu-ray, and I understand that there is a Blu-ray copy of this where the audio is very, very good, but I can't speak to that. I didn't have any problems with the sound anywhere. And in terms of the sound design, comes across a bit shallow. The helicopter scenes in this, John Carpenter doesn't bring, in any version of this film that I've seen, those helicopter sounds absolutely in to kind of rattle your windows and sort of shake the back of your head, the way, I keep saying it, Apocalypse Now, the helicopter scenes in that. It's not like that. You just get a nice, clear helicopter sound a little bit nearer and a little bit further, depending on what happens, and it's not really about that. And there's an explosion at the end of the film where it kind of, you don't hear the sound very loudly, but all versions of the film are like that. I think the explosion's meant to be in the distance, and the explosion's actually, for reasons of story that I won't spoil here in case you haven't seen the film, that explosion's actually a bit of an anticlimax. The sound is really ramped up when the thing is screeching and attacking, and the dogs are going nuts, and people are getting caught or getting their arms bitten off, and all sorts of stuff happening like that. When people are inside an enclosed space and stuff's happening, the floor's being ripped up, I thought the sound was really good. I didn't have any problems with the way it was reproduced in my system, and normally I can hear the sound okay on the systems, with the films that I watch and listen to. So I didn't have a problem with the sound. Maybe greater aficionados with better hearing than me might find a problem with it. But in any event, you often find the Blu Ray sound is as good as you're ever going to get, actually. And really, your 4K is about an improvement in the video, and the video is terrific here. So I thought the sound was great. I thought it was as good as anything I've heard. So that was terrific for me. But really, the real attraction is an unbelievable visual representation of such a great, sort of gory, grungy kind of horror movie. Overall, this film continues to be one of my favourite films of all time. Absolutely blows my mind. The creature turning into a spider and scuttling across the room, the different ways this film freaks you out, and just everything is just brilliantly reproduced here. It's an absolutely superb film. I mean, maybe someone's going to come out with a new version. The 50th anniversary isn't that far away, about 6 years away. Maybe someone will do a Dolby Atmos and kind of the sound will be better, and I'll have to apologise to all the people I've disagreed with on this. But I think this is an absolutely brilliant reproduction of the film. Is it an essential purchase? Absolutely. I mean, unless you simply refuse to or cannot watch horror movies, this is as good as it gets. This is an absolutely superb horror film, and it's got jump scares. It's got all the things that you like if you like horror films, but it also has got all sorts of things you won't find in any other film. That building sense of paranoia between the people, understandably, who can no longer trust each other, and the trying the blood with the hot pin and all of the different things that it does. Brilliantly done, and honestly, you need to own this. That you can buy this film digitally. It's usually streaming somewhere, but if you're at all interested in physical media, this is just an absolute standard film that you need to have up there with Blade Runner and any of the others. It's just got to own this film. Quite simply, got to own this film. So, is this an essential purchase? Yes. Absolutely right. So that's the thing. I hope this review was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed talking to you about it. There will be more Maximum Disc coming up in the future. In the meantime, I hope you check out Double Reel Podcast, because we love talking about movies and would love to welcome you onto there. But in any event, I hope to see you for more physical media chat very soon, right here on Maximum Disc. The Maximum Disc YouTube channel is brought to you by Double Reel, the monthly magazine podcast for the discerning film nerd. If you like our celebration of physical media, please check out the podcast for more chat about the films we love and hate.